Hello guys and welcome back to another Medscast The Path to Glory 2v2 tournament hosted by Bronzepanic. Today we have Series 6 between RAT-D, which is Criticalmeds and Bruzer, versus the team, which is Latziks and dEFIANT. Let's get into it. Hello guys and welcome to Game 1 between Team and RAT-D. We have Criticalmeds and Bruzer versus Latziks and dEFIANT. We have Criticalmeds in the top right in teal, Bruzer in the bottom right in red, dEFIANT in the bottom left for green, and Latziks in the top left in yellow. Steps of war, we love this map. Nice and small, plenty of action. Let's see how it goes. Do you see dEFIANT opting for an MCV move? This is very aggressive. You normally see this from GDI. I'm going to expect a couple of barracks from him. Criticalmeds is playing Nod. He doesn't normally play Nod, he is a GDI main. Bruzer's also playing Nod. Looks like he's getting pushed early by Grens. Latziks also choosing for a heavy Gren count at the start of the game. But not quite as many as dEFIANT. dEFIANT looks like he's going to go with a pretty all-in build. Nice defensive hand and nod from Bruzer there, as well as the Apache. The Apache will slowly chip away at these chunks of Grens. Criticalmeds now just defending his line at the top with Flamers. Bruzer doing really well with the defense. He's not overspending, he's not overcommitting to the defense. You does see there's not many infantry coming up currently. Latziks does get the scout on Criticalmeds' MCV. Now, we see extra barracks, further barracks forward. There's a lot of Grens there. And Bruzer has opted to go for the third ref. He's going to lose that MCV. He needs to sell it. Ooh. And dEFIANT's got a guard tower there as well. It will shoot the Flamers as they spawn, which is very strong. You do see Latziks still killing Flamers at Criticalmeds. Criticalmeds is trying to reinforce dEFIANT with this first buggy. Should help him stay in the game a little while longer. Latziks now on 4 refs, so it does look like he's going to go for that eco tank game. And Criticalmeds did go for the 2 ref strip. Looks like Bruze is starting to hold. This Apache will do a lot of work for him. dEFIANT going with a sell of the MCV, so there will be a big influx of Grenadiers right now. And Bruzer will need to look out for that with a few Flamers. There's a big infantry mini push coming towards Criticalmeds. He has got a few Flamers out ready, but he is using these buggies to help beat off dEFIANT on the south side. Latziks now with the War Factory. We'll have tanks before anybody else. Criticalmeds just on the buggy count still because of all these Grenadiers. Criticalmeds does sell. He's 3 ref 1 strip. He does have the double hand and nod defense. And it looks like dEFIANT has managed to get rid of the hand and nods of Bruzer, and he only has this helipad left. If this goes, he has no more production left. That's no more production for Bruzer, so it looks like dEFIANT did knock him out. Unfortunately, Criticalmeds unable to defend his teammate at that point in time. Criticalmeds now opting for the ref block and the refinery kill, so dEFIANT can't do anything. Criticalmeds now opting to engineer his teammates' harvesters. This will help for the long game. We do see these tanks pushing up from Latziks now. Criticalmeds does need some bikes. I don't think he's reacting to this very well. We see the engineer going for it, but the harvesters are empty. They're not docking long enough. Criticalmeds now trying to just get the tanks away from his base. But Latziks isn't taking it. He knows he can just go straight into that base and do a load of damage. He's going to push with the Grenadiers and tanks now. It looks like these buggies are in big trouble. And so is that strip. That's enough tanks to kill a strip. There is a bike out now for Criticalmeds, and he is going to dive with his buggies. He should probably go for the war factories. He's wasting a lot of buggies trying to kill a ref. The war factory would have been a lot better. Criticalmeds did manage to capture one of those refineries. It looks like there's too many tanks now for Criticalmeds to hold on. He's going to slow the ship away with him, but he's going to have no power and he has no strip. So it looks like this is a game for a team to win. Defiant pulling off that early all-in. It did manage to get rid of Bruzer. And Criticalmeds committing too much to a dive that wasn't really worth anything and helping Bruzer stay in the early game. As we can see, we're down to small numbers now. Little skirmishes. There was a little bit of a lag spike there, I do apologise. I think it's something to do with this mod pack that I use. Obviously because it's zoomed out, there's a lot more action going on. We do see 5 tanks from Lats. This is going to be too much for those buggies and bikes to handle. There's one idle tank down here. Criticalmeds still thinks he's got a chance. He's going to go for the rocket men. Rocket men are good against tanks when they don't have any support, but he has no power, so he's only going to get a couple of rocket men out, and they're not going to be enough to save him. There is enough tanks here just to wipe out all production. Criticalmeds almost delaying the inevitable. He's basically dead. Looks like game 1 is going to go to team. I'm not sure why Bruzer hasn't sold out. They're possibly talking in chat towards the end of the game there. There we go. So 1-0 to Dream Team. Very good for Defiant to go for that infantry build. He did manage to get Bruzer with it. Bruzer looked like he defended it at some points, but then all of a sudden the MCV cell from Defiant had that influx of Grens that caught him off guard and wiped him out. And Latziks with a 4 or 5 ref 2 war factory was a bit too strong for Criticalmeds at the time. So it was a straight up 1v1 win for Latziks there. So let's get into game 2. Hello guys, this is game 2 and we are on Electric Avenue. This is an old 1v1 map from the previous seasons. As you can see, it's absolutely rammed full of Tiberium. It used to be a 1v1 map. Obviously with this amount of Tiberium it was one of those crazy eco maps, but it should make for a better 2v2 map than it did a 1v1 map. So we have Bruzer on the left in red, Criticalmeds in the top left in teal, Latziks in yellow on the right, and Defiant in green in the bottom right. Let's see what happens. Latziks. This is a smart MCV move. If he does put his power here, he can put his ref directly above that, and it kind of skips having to build up this way. He's opted not to, but that is a smart MCV move. He does defend it a lot better against bikes and buggy harassment. You do see the usual scouts. Let's have a look. Bruzer's got some nice guard moded flamers here. Criticalmeds not completely stopping these scouts getting in by the looks of things, so you did get lucky there. There isn't much up the top. Bruzer did get a nice shot off with that flamer on them Grens. It does look like Defiant's going to push a little bit with 8 to 10 Grens there. We're looking more around 12 Grens. Meds and Bruzer now on 3 ref apiece. That's in Defiant. Don't really have much scout yet. And they're both on 3 ref as well. Defiant still wanting to push through the centre with these Grens. We will see how well they do. There's one lone flamer. What's he going to do? Nothing. Bruzer's flamer coming in to get a double kill. Lat's still trying to get the scout. It looks like he's going to get the scout. He has committed a lot to the scouting as well. Bruzer's MCV has been spotted. And so is Criticalmeds' MCV and Strip. Latziks could probably go for the power here. There is a lot of Grens. First buggy out for Criticalmeds. And the first buggy out for Defiant, for Bruzer as well. Defiant's gone 3 ref War Factory. That's pretty standard GDI if you want to get yourself into the mid game without getting completely wiped out. 4 ref War Factory. We do see a 4 ref from pretty much every player. I'm sure Criticalmeds will probably get one soon. There it is. Latziks now with the War Factory, so everybody's got some kind of vehicle production. Criticalmeds is ref blocking with some buggies. That is important. He has stopped his mining for a good couple of seconds now. So going for the power. Another ref block. There is a lot of minis here. They can defend very well against buggies. You just have to keep them in chokes or stop commanding situations like that and not let them get past. Med's now on 5 ref. Same as Bruzer. Bruzer's now on 5 ref. We might see some 5 ref 2 strips. They are very strong all-ins. Obviously, this map does have a lot of eco, so they might have to, well, they probably don't have to go 5 ref 2 strip all-in. They'd probably go for a higher eco. Criticalmeds now trying to bait the army away so it can go through the middle. I don't think it's that War Factory he's after. He's going for the power plant, a nice squishy target. You can get rid of it before the reinforcements arrive. We do see Bruzer going for a harvester snipe as well. Not quite getting it, but he might get that ref. Defiant's not paying too much attention. Criticalmeds now going for that harvester sniper. He's going to hold it. Ooh. He's lost a couple of buggies in the process though. Defiant counter-attacking after losing that ref. He does have 4 or 5 tanks to push with, but that is a lot of bikes from Bruzer. Criticalmeds now swapping up bikes as well. He knows he's in trouble. There's 2 War Factories from Latziks. We do see basically a 1v1 scenario at the minute. Here come the bikes. You do need to get these on the tanks. Defiant not really willing to push, especially with this Tiberium down here. Med's pushing the buggies through the army. They aren't very good in this fight against the tanks. There's no point in them being there. He has hidden behind the War Factory, trying to get War Factory snipe. You see the tank slowly whittling away. Well, here comes Defiant. He has got a good amount of tanks, but Bruzer has an insane amount of bikes. I don't know how Defiant's really going to deal with this. He does need a lot more Grens. Criticalmeds has a lot of bikes as well. He's going to go for a ref dive. Poor Lat's minigunners just aren't fast enough to respond to this. He does get a buggy. The GDI are getting a bit bullied on this map. It is a very open map. It is relatively not biased because a lot of the Tiberium is easy to jump on with fast vehicles. So see a lot of minis dying to flamers there. Still keeping his bikes alive, ready for these tanks. That is a lot more Grens. That's a lot better because he's now up against a more of a bike consistent army. We do see Bruzer and Defiant still fighting in the south yet. Defiant doing what's right, and that's keeping the infantry in front of the tanks against bikes. These tanks aren't really doing too much to these bikes. Med's with another ref dive. He's going to lose a couple of bikes, but it's worth getting that ref with the harvester in it. We do see a strip taken down from Defiant, but Bruzer still has that one backup strip. He has a lot of bikes left to kill these tanks. We do see a lot of flamers from Criticalmeds, hoping to defend against that infantry wall. He's going to get another ref snipe. He's spotted Defiant's War Factory. He's going to go for the dive. There is a guard tower there. Bruzer's got the same idea. They are going to double team Defiant's War Factories. It looks like they're both gone. Med's losing a few bikes in the process. Bruzer now going for harvesters. Easy targets in the back of the base where there were troops at. Med's just retreating what troops he's got left after that dive. He doesn't really want to get counter-attacked. Defiant now switching it up. Oh no. It was a ruse. He made Bruzer move his units and now he's going back in with the tanks. There isn't a lot of anti-tank here, so the infantry don't really need to be with the tanks at the moment. They do need to spread out though, because some flamers could do that. And it's barbecue season. We do see Buggy versus Gren. These do need to be microed back. This needs to be microed. We do see these tanks pushing again through Bruzer. He is targeting the bikes one at a time, so these tanks are getting awfully close to the strip, and it looks like he's going to take it. He hasn't got many bikes to deal with this. Latz is in a bit of trouble now. The bikes are on his war factory. He's losing his infantry to the buggies and flamers. Defiant's managed to trade out that strip, but he has lost the majority of his army in the process. He doesn't have anything to back up, so there's no war factories left. There is only infantry now from both GDI players. That's why you see Bruzer has gone for the comms. He does want to get them flame tanks, but I don't think he's going to need them in the end. Right, and I'm back. I do believe we had a crash. I'll carry on casting from this point on, so if there's any bits skipped out, but I will have to edit it in the end. But thanks Jim for the crashes. There is still a ref block. The only ref Latz has got left. There's no way that Harvest is getting in there without the Grand getting rid of the bike, but there's too many buggies here now. Bruzer finishing up what Defiant has with the units he had left, even though he did lose his strips. He did have the comms, so when he did get a airstrip again, he would be able to get flame tanks. Criticalmeds got a lot of idle buggies, but I think we all know it's over right now. There isn't a lot Defiant could do in this situation. There isn't too many buggies. We do see a sneaky engineer from that, so he's going to go for a last hurrah. Bruzer just being careful, because obviously he needed to wait for that strip to come back up. The flame tank is out now. These buggies just harassing. We do see the NG. Is going to get it? No, unfortunately. Would nice to see a little twist there, but oh, the flamers don't know what to shoot. Boom! So it does look like game 2 is going to be the equaliser for Rat D. Criticalmeds and Bruzer are going to pull a point back. So we've got an interesting series. Again, Electric Avenue, I didn't really think 2 GDIs had much of a choice in the matter. They do need to get on top of the nod before they can get to a point where the nod can just circle around them and keep picking off their eco like we did in that game. So, let's get into game 3. Let's see if the scoreboard works for once. It does. Nice one. Obviously, Bruzer and Criticalmeds having the most eco, but that's because they were eco harassing Latziks and Defiant the majority of the game. And also with the more kills because they had more units. Anyway, so let's get into game 3. Hello and welcome to game 3. Yep, you see this right, it's Zodiac again. We've seen this pretty much every series so far. It's a well loved map. Obviously well respected by the community already for these 2v2s. So, we have Bruzer in the top left in red, Criticalmeds in the bottom left in teal, Defiant in the bottom right in green, and Latziks in the top right in yellow. Let's see how this game goes. Each player all opting for the MCV move. Latziks did go further ahead than Defiant. Almost level for both players, Bruzer and Latziks. Let's update those scores as well. There we go. Don't want to be forgetting those scores. It's, I think the crash put me off my game there, so just catching up. I'm glad I didn't forget it for the rest of the series. So we do see a 2 ref from each player so far. Standard infantry scouting. Bruzer hasn't really seen much of Latziks yet. And Criticalmeds hasn't really seen much of Defiant. Now what about Latz and Defiant? Same story, they haven't really seen much of their opponents, but they have got good map vision on both sides. So they will see stuff come early. We see 4F from Latz before anybody else. Defiant looks like he's going to go for that 2 ref strip. Criticalmeds is now on 4F 2. There's that 2 ref strip from Defiant. Criticalmeds is pushing with these Grens. Like I say, GDI really want to be doing this. The more flamers you force them to build, the less they're going to get from the strip. And the longer the 3rd ref gets delayed. Latz on 4F. He did opt to get an extra barracks. He hasn't gone War Factory just yet. Criticalmeds now on 5 ref. He's going to do what looks to be an infantry push. Defiant does have enough buggies to come farm these infantry. A nice little infantry block there from Criticalmeds. It did stop the buggies from diving around the side. Latz getting these minis in the chokes. He knows these buggies are going to come. They're going to scout his base. And he's getting a nice bit of damage done. Really well. Good use of minis, really. A lot of people don't use them very well like that. Obviously, you want to zone out the area that the buggies go into, and it messes with the pathing, and they will just stop in front of it. And minigunners will shred units that are stood still. Defiant's got a lot of stuff in the front door attacking him, and he's going to go for a dive through the back. Bruzer has noticed, and he's going to come to help Criticalmeds by the looks of things. It depends which way Defiant's going to go. He is heading down towards Criticalmeds. Criticalmeds still pushing up the front. He has got a lot of minis ready. This is a lot of minis. He don't really want to be fighting this. The extra Gren support and the bikes and buggies. It looks like Defiant's going to lose the majority of his army going for this. He's now trying to get some damage on the War Factory, but that tank does come out just in time. We don't really see too much going on up here. Just a couple of Grens getting in, killing some flamers and bikes. Bruzer's now retreating. He has helped Criticalmeds survive that dive. Defiant now upon his 4th ref, so he's still 1 ref behind Criticalmeds. Latziks going for the 4F2 War Factory. He's hiding these tanks. He could probably get them into the action a bit earlier because... Oh no, Bruzer and Criticalmeds don't know he's gone tank, so it is good to hide him. He's playing smart. There's the 5th ref. These bikes want to know though. These bikes want to know what's in that shroud. They're going to find the War Factories. And he's just sold the MCV at the same time. This is disastrous. You don't want to be losing these War Factories now. No. Latziks opting to get a couple of NGs. I think this is a misclick. Not a lot of people go for mass NGs like this. Bruzer being smart and not wasting all these bikes trying to go for the 2nd War Factory. He's going to play it safe. Criticalmeds still pushing with his double War Factory 5 ref build. And Bruzer just having to pull back a little bit. Stop these NGs getting in his hand and odds. Turreting up for these tanks because his bikes were out of position. He's sold his MCV just for that extra influx of cash. Criticalmeds still harassing this area with Defiant's eco. If Criticalmeds can take out this area, Defiant loses the majority of his eco. So this is pretty much the main objective. Not being too careful with his Grens there. We do see Latz trying to push in on these strips, which is smart. Keep the minis in front of the tanks, let the tanks do all the damage. Same with the Gren on this side, he is playing smart. Here come the extra tanks. Looks like it's going to be a bit of trouble for Bruzer there. Defiant now losing the refs. It's going to just go all downhill from now. He's going to be on 2 ref versus 5. He does have the 2 strips, but he's not going to have enough money to pump out the units he needs. Latziks kind of getting thwarted here. He doesn't have enough tanks to get in here. There is a lot of bikes. Criticalmeds now taking out the strip. These tanks do take out the strips very fast, a lot faster than most units. Latziks still pushing the Grenadiers on the top, which is a smart move, but there's a lot of buggies there still, and they won't really kill a strip too fast. Bruzer taking out a couple of tanks in the middle while they're lonely without any infantry support. Defiant trying to micro his bikes to the best of his ability to try and get as much value on these tanks as possible. Bruzer's coming in for the back attack on that last war factory. Meds is running out of steam, but Defiant's running out of units. He's going to get that war factory. He let it sell, so he's going to get a few more Grens out the front here. Bruzer now opting to help Critical Meds take out this strip. There is another big wave coming from Critical Meds though. That's a lot of Grens. They are going to push on Bruzer pretty hard. There's enough there to take out a strip pretty quick. I won't be surprised if he loses this strip. He's opting to take the fights against the buggies. Defiant's going to lose a hand and nod, so he's not going to have any production left. It is now just all on Latz, and if Latz can get rid of Bruzer, it could turn into a 1v1 situation. Looks like it's going to turn into a 1v1 situation. There's no way he's going to keep this strip alive by the looks of things. That Flamer is farming. Ooh. This Flamer's getting a bit too much damage on these infantry, I think. Here comes the rest of Critical Med's units. He knows Defiant's dead, so he might as well go and help Bruzer push Latz back. Latz is now retreating from that position. He knows he's got the strip, so his next target should be Critical Meds. It's smart to do this because he knows Bruzer's only on one hand and nod now. And if he can get rid of Critical Meds, then four barracks are going to help him beat out the rest of the game. But Critical Meds has noticed this dive in the back. He's also got in on his base. He's going to go for the production by the looks of things. Get some nice squishes on them Grens. He has defended this counter-attack. They are giving up. Looks like it's going to go game 3 to Rat D, Critical Meds and Bruzer. I'll update the score now before I forget. So Zodiac. We see Critical Meds with that 5 ref build into infantry, and then the War Factory back up. Latziks playing very well against Bruzer. Very aggressive. If he hadn't sold the MCV just before his War Factory got dived, I reckon he'd been in an absolute superb position to take out Bruzer in that game. And obviously assist Defiant against Critical Meds. Well, that will be game number 3. Let's take a look at the scoreboard.
Battle control terminated.
You see how the Eco GDIs are coming out on top. Unfortunately for Latziks, Defiant did die early. And Bruzer barely held on towards the end of that game. He did get down to just one hand and on. See you in game 4, guys. Welcome to game 4. This is Vale of the Templars. We have Bruzer in the top left in red, Critical Meds in the bottom left in teal, Latziks in the bottom right in yellow, and Defiant in the top right in green. Not like a favourite map of mine. It has low eco in the middle of your base. It's well defended, but this contested tip is a bit wild for GDI and Nod clashes in the middle. I doubt GDI would be able to mine this too long before Nod take advantage of the distances and the fast unit response times. But I do reckon we'll see some funky builds on this map from some points. Critical Meds is GDI, Bruzer is Nod, Defiant is Nod, and Latziks is GDI. So 2 GDIs in this type of situation. You're going to see a lot of stagnant Grens just holding the chokes. One thing to note as well, there is these paths along the back end of your opponent's base. You can utilise these, whether it be like a Flamer squad, Gren squad, Engineer. I don't think Flamers would work so well because they do have to go through this Tiberium and they do die faster to Tiberium. So it might not be worth the risk with Flamers, but Grenadiers it's certainly worth the risk. 5 Flamers is only going to cost you 800, so it's worth the 800. We do see Defiant getting the scout on the MCV. That's not quite as lucky yet. Critical Meds and Bruzer don't have very good scouting at the moment.
Building.
Critical Meds on the free ref. It looks like it's going to go free ref War Factory. Looks like Bruzer's going 2 ref strip. We do see Defiant opting for the same thing, 2 ref strip. And we see 3 ref out of Lats. Four ref out of Lats. Okay, that makes sense because he did get this second power. We do see the buggies out earlier for Defiant. Bruzer opting for bikes, which is a bit more of a defensive move. They don't necessarily trade out good against buggies. Buggies do outmass them. You need to be able to micro these bikes because they will outrange buggies. Lats and Critical Med still on that stalemate of Grenadiers. Lats hasn't seen the important tech yet. Bruzer going for a 2 ref 2 strip. This is an all-in build. And that will get 1 more power and cell. Because that power will mess him up otherwise. There it is. We see the cell. There it is. You can see Defiant's now trying to crawl into Bruzer to probably get a couple of turrets and crawl into him. Do you see Med pushing these tanks into Latziks now? He only has 1 tank on the field, but Critical Meds does have like 3. Bruzer now with his superior number of units in the top mid. I don't know why he pulled back from that. I reckon he could have took that. Med's pushing him with his Grenadier. Engineer, sorry. Teasing a bit with this Engineer. Yeah, Grens are going to get him. Med's still on the higher tank count. He has gone for the 3 ref 2 War Factory all in. It's powerful, but only for a period of time. Once the tanks run out of numbers, so does your your steam. You run out of steam, and that's it. You've basically lost. You really need to make these initial tanks do something, make them work. Take good trades like this. 2 tanks per 1 tank. Don't obviously fight more tanks than you need to. As you see, Latziks getting a little bit overwhelmed there. We did see a bit of Bruzer's units go through his base. Grenadier support against his rocket men. Rocket men are expensive. They're a bit of a oh shit moment. Like, there's too many tanks on my base, so I need rocket men. You can't make tanks build any faster unless you've got that double war factory. But even then, you've gone for an extra ref before your opponent's gone for double war factory, so they will have more tanks. I think in a situation like this, you can only just pull back and try and get as much as you can to fight the tanks of lower count, because Lats did open with an extra ref, so we will have the better money. But you can only just fall back a little bit, let the opponent kill some of your buildings, but ultimately try and get on the same war factory count and possibly hold a choke where they can't get through. We do see a lot of these minis and Grens doing a lot of damage to these tanks. These tanks will go straight to Defiant now that there's no threat of tanks from Lats. Lats is going for a counter Gren push. We did see that turret crawl, but it hasn't really got straight into Bruzer's base. Bruzer's playing very defensive, basically buying time while Critical Meds does beat up Lats. So we might see a 2v1 situation soon. Lats does still have the ability to build Grenadiers, and Grenadiers can take out buildings if you don't obviously look for them. So Critical Meds has got like a stagnant defensive force there. We do see all the tanks cleared up by Defiant. Bruzer is sniping one of Latziks' harvesters inside the ref. So he's only on 2 ref, 2 barracks now. No power. The tanks are going straight across to Defiant. He's not too worried about Lats with those tanks. Defiant is getting the turrets into Bruzer's base. He's opted for artillery, which is interesting. Don't do too well against turrets, especially not when they're in range. Because they will die in a couple of hits. Look. Critical Med still trying to push for those tanks on the right. Sorry about that. Building a turret right in front of tanks generally isn't too good because they get the damage advantage because of its build time. A lot of squishable stuff there, beautiful. Latz still trying to go for this counter-attack Grens. It's a smart idea, they just need to get in while Criticalmeds is focused on something else. Again, Bruzer still holding that line as well as using a lot of his units for the back door. Nice little ref block. Despite losing out on a third of his eco there. Do you see Latz opting for the engineer pushes along the bottom? You can't see this one below the banner. There he is. So he's trying to be cheeky. He's trying to go for the capture on Criticalmeds' base. Defiant still has his MCV, but he hasn't really built much for a while. We did see him build some turrets. He's now down to one ref. But do you see the engineer from Latz really beat up? I don't think he's going to make it through this tip field. You see Bruzer now finishing off that last refinery. Criticalmeds. He's going to go for the strip of these tanks because they will flat it really fast. Latziks now losing the last of his production. Another cheeky engineer, but it isn't going to get past those tanks. Defiant pretty much out now. He is down to 3 barracks, but he's out of cash. He doesn't have anything mining. Defiant still has that engineer down the bottom. Criticalmeds now clearing up his base. Defiant trying to kill what he can with the units he's got. We did see that engineer get close to the war factory. He sold it, but Latz also died within the second it was going to capture. And now it's just a clean-up crew from Bruzer to get rid of Defiant. Welcome to the meat grinder. So a combination of two all-in style builds from Bruzer and Criticalmeds working really well in tangent with each other. Seeing that 2 ref 2 strip all-in, but using it more defensively, so Defiant was stalled. While Criticalmeds did push with a 3 ref 2 war factory into Latz, who did go for that extra ref before the war factories, which put him behind in tank count. But you kind of have to not panic about it. You have to wait for your tanks to get on like an even playing field, and obviously get some rocket men with your tanks, because it's the only way you're going to get back in tank count in that situation. But you will have the more eco, so you'll probably be able to afford a couple of rocket men. But that's it. It will go 3-1 to Rap D, Criticalmeds and Bruzer. Let's update that score now. There we go. But yeah, pretty good series altogether. That first game was pretty wild with the infantry rush. We'll have a look at the scoreboard.
Battle control terminated.
As you can see, them for an all-in build, Criticalmeds did mine quite a lot, but it was 1 ref ahead of Bruzer the whole game, and Latz was 4 ref for a while, but did lose him, so he did fall behind a little bit. And obviously Latz was, I believe it was 3 ref. Criticalmeds with quite a bit of a kill count there, but it was tanks versus infantry for the majority of the early game. But that concludes our series. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one on Series 7. Goodbye. Good night.